back at my Airbnb. I have a glass of wine and I'm ready to recap the day. I'm really, really enjoying these little recaps. It's almost like a mini diary for me, to look back on and remember what happened. But also, I hope it gives you a little bit of insight into these events and how they go and what to expect. If you're listening to this podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you listen to it, leave us a review. Drop us a note. In your review, write a question. Let us know what you would like us to answer, something that might help you when you're visiting these events. We're also all over social media. We're wherever you want to be. So, wherever you find us, stay in touch, keep in touch. I want to kind of build a community of not only tennis lovers, but of new tennis fans who want to feel included and not sort of left out of the cool kids clubs, because there's no cool kids club. We're all just tennis lovers here. But back to day 2 and how that went. Day 1 was just getting to know the venue in a different way. I have been to this tournament before. I've never been as press, so I had to learn, where the press room was and all that stuff. But day 2, I know the lay of the land. I know where to go. And I started how I usually start these days, is at the practice courts. I love watching practice, especially as someone who also plays tennis. I do play tennis. Just to see what the pros are doing. I'm not at that level by any means, but it's nice to see their footwork. It's nice to see them serving. Also gives you an insight onto who the player is, really. And I started my day watching Andy Murray practice in preparation for his match, which was happening later today. And it's so cool to see this sort of Andy Murray who just mumbles to himself and is so hard on himself on match court is kind of the same Andy on practice court. I posted a video to our Instagram of him after a missed hit of the ball and him just being so, upset with himself that he missed the ball. And that's an athlete for you. That's an elite athlete who wants to just be better always. They're upset about a missed ball even in practice. So started the day there. And then I went on to go watch my first match of the day, which was Sloane Stephens against Angie Kerber. It's been really great having Angie back on tour. It's been really nice seeing all these moms come back and actually be successful on tour. I think there was a day when if you'd wanted to have a baby, you just stopped being a professional athlete, and these women, Angie Kerber, Caroline Wozniacki, Naomi Osaka, are just showing that no, you can actually come back and be at the top of your sport. So Angie Kerber is just on her way back. She started back during the Australian swing, so she still has some work to do, and she really had a great run in Indian Wells, but I think coming into Miami, she was suffering from a little injury. So she didn't win this match. That went to Sloane Stephens. It was her birthday today. Fellow March baby. Love it. And she won a very good match for her. So she's on to the next one. After that, I kind of hung around the press room a little bit. Jannik Sinner came in to do his pre-tournament press today. So did Iga Swiatek. I think I'm going to be including a lot of the audio from these press conferences that I go to in the full podcast and the mini pods from time to time, just to help give you a sense of who these players are. I think I have been enlightened more about these players by asking them questions and listening to their answers, and it gives you sort of a fuller picture of who the athlete is versus just what you see on court or what you see posted to social media. It's really nice talking to them in person. Someone who impresses all the time is Coco Gauff, who came into her pre-tournament press today. And, I know this is such a cliche thing to say, but when I was 20, she just turned 20, I don't remember being that eloquent and poised and just having such a strong sense of self. And it's been really interesting over Indian Wells and into the Miami Open, just listening to her talking press. It's pretty impressive. So did that and then ran over to court one. It's a smaller court to go see Jack Draper play. If everyone remembers, my very first daily recap at Indian Wells was announcing, Jack Draper's loss in the first round. And he was just coming off of a really great South American swing for him, that it was surprising. Luckily, he didn't do that again this time around. He played a very efficient match. Today wasn't as hot, but there are moments that the temperature can rise and it is very humid. And we all know Jack Draper. I mean, we might all know, but Jack Draper is someone who I think is affected still by the elements, especially when it's super hot. So he played a very efficient match and got out of there. So he won his match today. Then I got to wander the site a little bit today, and the thing I love about the Miami Open, especially when you come here, there are a few tournaments where I feel like they're two different stalls of food, and that's all the options you have. I think in Indian Wells they had some variety, but it was mostly just burgers and like chicken tenders for the most part and fries, and then you had a Nobu. So it was very high low. It was like you went to Nobu or you went to go get chicken tenders. The thing I love about the Miami Open is that they have these mini food carts all over the place, and you can get everything from croquetas to arepas to burgers and fries to an acai bowl. It is, I mean, you can go every single day and eat from a different cart every single day and not have seen every single one. We do these daily recaps, not only in the podcast, but we have an Instagram version of it that's a very quick short. And I'm going to post today all of those little carts because there are just so many of them. I love that a lot because it's a lot more variety for someone who's coming, who it's just more options to eat than the usual tournament fare. I bopped around the courts a little bit. I watched a really great practice between Gael Monfils and Sasha Bublik, and if you know those two players, you know that was a good time. They definitely put on a show. That is a practice that I got some footage of and will be putting on Ground Pass's YouTube channel. Ground Pass has a YouTube channel. We're growing. We're growing, guys. We're expanding. We're building a we're building a brand here. But that will be on our YouTube channel if you want to take a look at it. That was like a really fun practice and really great shot making from both, who are both quite exciting players. And I ended my day at the match between Matteo Arnaldi and Arthur Fils. These are two super young players, I think. Arturo might still be 19. I'm not really sure. They're definitely in the sort of 19, 22 year range for the most part. Some might remember Matteo Arnaldi had a really great match against Carlos Alcaraz at Indian Wells. Both of them have actually played together. The first time I saw Matteo Arnaldi play was when he played Arthur Fils last year at the US Open. It went 5 sets, and it was a rocking court. I have never had so much fun on a court than I did at their match last year. So I was super excited to have a rematch this year at the Miami Open. It didn't quite live up to the US Open's vibes. I think Artur has not been having a great run of form lately, and Matteo Arnaldi is on it. Some of his shots were just bananas. He knows how to cover a court and just moves very well. And all his shots are like kissing the baseline. Like it was really nice to see. Unfortunately, just on the other end of the court, Fils just could not find his footing. So I ended the night there. Matteo won in 2 sets, and that was my day. Day 2 at the Miami Open. It was a little bit more crowded than it was yesterday, but it still had a very sort of quiet vibe. The thing with these 2-week tournaments is they tend to ramp up a little bit into the middle weekend, which is when most of the top players are going to be playing. I think Carlos doesn't start his tournament until Saturday, so that is definitely going to be when things are at their peak. We will bring you all the sights and sounds from the middle weekend, but for now, goodbye. Follow us wherever you feel like following us, and we will see you tomorrow for day 3.